The origin of NIDA's demand can be traced back to the announcement from the Honorable Prime Minister Modi on the 26th of May 2016 at Saharanpur in UP, where he said that henceforth the retirement age for all government medical doctors across the country would be raised to 65 years due to acute shortage of medical doctors and to retain the services of experienced doctors for a longer period. Following this, NIDA first submitted a memorandum to the government in August 2016 on the issue. It went to the cabinet once, where a cabinet subcommittee was formed, but report was never submitted. Due to the political upheaval in 2017, the general elections and new government formation in 2018, and various other factors, the issue was kept untouched. After this, another memorandum was submitted to the government on the 27th of October 2020, wherein the core demand of the NIDA was 62 years for administrative post and 65 years for clinical post, without any other criteria like length of service. Another memorandum followed in January 2021. After this memorandum, a series of consultations and deliberations between the government at various levels and NIDA did not yield any result, and with NIDA threatening to escalate its agitation from the first phase of wearing black armbands to the second phase of mass casual leave with effect from 12th April 2021, the government appealed to NIDA, after which a one-week period was given to the government. Finally, on the 17th April 2021, a written assurance was given by the Chief Secretary that, quote, the government is actively considering the matter relating to the increase in the superannuation age of the medical doctors and offered to resolve the matter within a period not exceeding 1 year, unquote. It may be noted that NIDA's demand has since been scaled down to 62 years superannuation age for all government doctors. The NIDA has been regularly reminding the government, and 4 reminders were submitted in written to the government that time was running out. To the credit of the government, the issue has been taken up at least 4 times in the cabinet, but decision has not been taken. The NIDA, left with little option, decided to go for mass casual leave from the 7th to 9th March 2022. However, an appeal was received from the Honorable Minister of Health and Family Welfare on the 5th of March to keep the proposed agitation on hold, and assured to the NIDA that he will, quote, give his best efforts to ensure that the state government address the matter on urgency, unquote. The NIDA, heeding the appeal of the Honorable Minister, decided to keep in abeyance the proposed 7th to 9th March mass casual leave. However, during the subsequent cabinet meeting on the 16th March, decision was again deferred. Despite tremendous pressure from members to kickstart the intensive phase of the agitation in the form of mass casual leave, immediately, the NIDA leadership decided to give time to the government till the deadline, that is 17th April 2022. The NIDA executive and members also met the Honorable CM, Chief Minister, on the 9th of April at his residential office, where he gave a very patient hearing and remarked that after the subcommittee submits its report, the cabinet will take a decision. The government has been claiming that the NSF, other organizations like the CANSSEA and the NAMSA, that is the Nagaland Medical Students Association, are opposed to the demand of NIDA, and also the Prime Minister's announcement was a political speech at a political rally, therefore doesn't carry much weight, and that it was meant only for the central health services and there is no central directive to the states. We agree that the speech was during a political rally marking 2 years of his first term as Prime Minister on the 26th of May 2016, and there is no standing order from the center. However, our argument is that more than 25 states across the country has taken a cue from the Prime Minister's announcement and have implemented the increase in the superannuation age to different extents. This includes most of our northeastern states with similar financial constraints. In fact, in the Arunachal government order increasing the superannuation age of doctors, specific mention is made of the PM's announcement. To the CANSSEA, NIDA has been consistently maintaining that the Prime Minister's announcement was specific for the medical doctors only and for a specific reason, that is to address the acute shortage of doctors and to retain the services of experienced doctors for a longer period. Hence, other service organizations cannot demand the same merely by citing precedents. In fact, in the other states in the country where it has been implemented, no such claim has been made by other service organizations. The NSF, with due credit to them, has conceded that NIDA's demand is genuine considering the central government's decision on the same. However, it has been opposing implementation of NIDA's demand and has urged the government to maintain status quo. To the NSF, we have raised the question, when it has been implemented in the Naga homelands of Arunachal, Assam and Manipur without opposition from NSF, when it comes to the state of Nagaland, why these double standards? The NIDA would like to congratulate and appreciate the Angami Students' Union for taking a bold stand of exposing the biased attitude of the NSF and speaking up for the genuine and reasonable demands of the NIDA. The NAMSA, that is the Nagaland Medical Students Association, feels that the NIDA demand will have a negative impact on their employment opportunities. However, the NIDA has been working on more post creations, and during the COVID pandemic, 120 MO posts and another 15 posts of consultants were created. The government has also informed that 108 posts will be requisitioned by NPSC during the current financial year. So logically, therefore, the NAMSA should be working hand in hand with NIDA's efforts, since they will also benefit by the increase in the superannuation age and the unprecedented huge post creations. To the general public, we would like to inform that emergency services will remain functional during this 3-day mass schedule leave. We therefore appeal for cooperation and moral support to our legitimate demands. Sacrifices made during the COVID pandemic by the medical fraternity should not be so easily forgotten, particularly since the pandemic is far from over. Finally, no organization wishes to go on agitation mode or any confrontation with the government, least of all the NIDA. We hope that the government takes a favorable decision in the next 4 days, but if no decision is arrived at before 18th April, the mass schedule leave will go ahead. And in case of any untoward eventualities, the government will have to bear the responsibility or can shift the blame to those it claims to be opposing NIDA's demands. Thank you. We feel that the government is just using the NSF as an excuse not to concede to our demands. Because as you have seen from today's press statement and by ASU, Angami Students' Union, we now know that NSF is not it's a divided house. They don't have a single voice. Their opinion is divided on this, particularly on this issue. So just by blaming NSF as the obstacle, I think that doesn't carry much weight. The ENSF, that is the Eastern Naga Students Federation, they have openly stated in the last March 1st consultative meet that they support NIDA's demands. And we have expressed our gratitude to them in the last press release. And it's the Angami Students' Union which have come out with the press statement. But there are some more other students' union who are not in line with the NSF's opinion regarding our issue, although they may not have come out in the open.
Such a reputed, respected organization, do you really think that you really need all these backups from all these student bodies?
It's not NIDA seeking the support of NSF. Why we are quoting the NSF is because the government always says that NSF is the obstacle, is the opposition. So that's why we want to tell the government that actual opposition is not the NSF, it's within the government only.
Another issue, in a sense, which we fail to understand, So why would government depend on the NSS to give, which is a student organization, to run the authority, to give so much importance to a student organization?
Do whatever they have to do, but we feel that this is a legitimate form of protest, taking a casual leave.
In the statement, they have said that the emergency services will be functional.
Yes.
So who will look after it when you are going for casual?
This will be looked after. This will be worked out by the respective medical superintendents. We'll make certain arrangements so that certain doctors, although they have submitted their leaves, will be looking after emergency life-saving services. Plus the indoor patients, serious indoor patients, for example, the ICU patients, will be looked after as usual.
There has been a lot of criticisms from people as well regarding our doctors, government or the doctors running their own private clinics and all these things. So this is also somewhat it's been seen.
We had a number of meetings on the issue of private practice with the government, and the consistent stand of NIDA has been that NIDA has no issues with off-duty practice. As long as the normal duty is done, we have no issues with off-duty. Whatever the doctor does in his off time, we have no issues.
What we can understand from NSF's statement and the issue they have been raising is Nagaland is a resource-stressed state, and here looking for employment is also very difficult. To get government employment is also very difficult, and that's the basic reason they have been opposing the increase in the number of years for doctors also. So, of course, if it is increased, it is good for you as well as the service that we will be providing to all. But for the younger generations coming up, will that not have an effect? Because once the service is increased, it will increase for so many of the doctors, in-service doctors. So the retirement age will become more. So,
Okay, regarding the by increasing the superannuation of doctors to maybe 62 or 65, government is not going to have any financial constraint. Rather, there is a saving, short-term saving for the government. There is no financial implication by increasing the age of the doctor. Second point is, there is no unemployment problem especially for the medical doctor. In the last advertisement, we advertised for 199 posts. Only 68 applied, and only 65 was appointed. 168. So there is no question of unemployment of medical doctor in the state right now. I will just clearly mention that the sanction post in Nagaland for the medical doctor is 511. Out of that 511, we have 323 in position. So the vacancy is now 188. Still 188 is lying vacant, which is to be filled up through NPSC. Secondly, government has recently created 5 new districts where we need 110 medical doctors to be filled up. And another is the medical college. We have 2 medical colleges is coming up. There we need 248 medical doctors. So in total we have 546,
548.
548 vacancies will be available. That's why we asked the NSF also to come up with a statistical backup that how many medical doctors are unemployed in Nagaland. They could not answer that. So we know that how many medical doctors are here in Nagaland. The NSF says that in the last appointment, it was because of the pandemic, or it was because of their contractual. Yes, it was contractual, but it was approved in the cabinet that whoever appointed today will be regularized through a special drive, one-time dispensation. So whoever is appointed, they will be regularized. That also they know. That is not just a contractual. Just to clarify that. And second point, it was a pandemic, they said. Because of pandemic, no one is willing to come up. So just to know that these are the group of doctors who doesn't want to sacrifice their life. These are the group of doctors who wants to work only in Dimapur and Kohima. Those are the group of doctors who doesn't want to work in the rural area. Are the government is willing to bring them to the system? That the government should know. That should not be the attitude of the government. Why? Because during this pandemic, many of our doctors have infected. I am one of the survivors there. I was infected twice. I was hospitalized also. Many of our doctors have hospitalized there. By the grace of God, no casualty was there from the doctors community. We really thank God for that. We sacrifice our life by risking our family, by risking ourselves. But that is being forgotten by the people of Nagaland. That should not be forgotten because pandemic is not yet over. Actually, this NIDA issue should have been raised during this pandemic. We could have done it very easily. But we think that we also understand the constraint of the government. We also understand the problem of the general public to be faced. That's why we just patiently waiting for that. So now the pandemic is over. That's why we came up with this issue. If the government feel that our NIDA issue is genuine, it should be implemented within this stipulated time. That is going to be expired on 17th of April, Sunday. And after this deadline, we have no option, but we have to go on strike.
Our Vice President has said, see, we have 548 potential new positions available. So we have been pressing the government to create more posts. And we have told the government that this is the most opportune time to take up an issue like superannuation age, increase in the superannuation age, without apprehensions of stagnation or unemployment issues. So we have been telling the government that this is the most opportune time, especially with the creation of the 5 new districts and the 2 medical colleges coming up. So we have been repeatedly telling them that if you don't take up this issue during such a time, then we will never get such another chance like this. Secondly, in the next 2 years, if you see the incumbency list, with the same service conditions continuing, only 17 doctors are going to retire. Okay. Now, even if the government concedes to our demand 100%, it's going to sort of save these 17 doctors. So my question is, if 17 doctors do not retire in the next 2 years, will this cause an unemployment crisis? Will 17 doctors not retiring cause an unemployment crisis in the next 2 years? We have been explaining this to NAMSA, to NSF also, but probably they refuse to understand. So that is, if you really look at the calculation there. The only offer so far they have offered is the 60-62 formula, which is 60 in the administrative positions and 62 in the clinical settings. But this we have rejected. I think in our press releases we have given the reasons why we have rejected. But there is another catch here. In the last meeting, I asked the Chief Secretary whether they have taken sort of the permission from the NSF for this 60-62 formula. Even the 60-62 formula, NSF is not in a position to say yes. They said no service beyond 60. Clear. Administrative setup means the directorate, then the CMO establishments in the various districts. So that we'll have to do a calculation. Yeah. Roughly how much? Rough.
Including MS and CMO.
120.
Because each district, 11 district is 66.
Yeah.
So here 37.
Around about 100, yeah.
Yeah.
100 roughly. Roughly 100 in the administratives and the rest in the clinical, means in the hospitals.
So that would amount to, what would the total of the NIDA members, how many percent of the NIDA members are in the administrative clinic?
Percentage. See, if you, NIDA members means NIDA consists of the, the regular 326 in position, the dental surgeons, even the Ayush are as associate members, then the contractual, both the, different contractual doctors are there, like NHM, then Naga Hospital has their own contractual doctors, so this will amount to more than what we have said before, but the total though is difficult to tell right now, and the percentage though, we'll have to do some calculations there.
On the event of doctor assigned with administrative duties, on the event of such a senior officer retiring, in order to replace this vacancy, a senior from the hospital base comes and takes up this assignment. Therefore, the hospital gets deprived in the assignment. So therefore, a doctor manning an administrative job is also indirectly engaged with clinical activity.
5th February press release, I think, where with all reasons why we have rejected that.
So this will be your first phase of education, so after this, what is the step forward?
After the 3 days mass schedule leave, we will be going for total cease work, indefinite, for an indefinite period.
Immediately or?
After the 3-day mass schedule leave, yeah, immediately.
Immediately after the 3 days?
Yes, yes.
Or it will continue directly?
We'll listen to the resolution of the NSF or to the Prime Minister's announcement. which one is more, which one has more weight? No response.
So does NIDA also see NSF as an obstacle?
See, in the last meeting, the president of NSF was asking the government that the government should honor the agreement between NSF and the government of Nagaland in the form of the Nagaland State Government Employees Retirement Act 2009, where it is 60-35. So my question was, what about the agreement between NIDA and the government in the form of the written assurance that I've just given you a copy? So if the NSF feels that the government should honor the agreement between NSF and the government, then we also feel that the government should also honor the agreement between NIDA and the state government. The background of this 17th April 2021 written assurance was again similar to what is happening now. We threatened to go on mass casual leave and they gave us this written assurance. There in I'll just read out the whole thing. A meeting with the office bearers and representative of the Nagaland In-Service Doctors Association was held under the chairmanship of the Chief Secretary Nagaland and other senior officers. Meeting attendance enclosed in the Chief Secretary's conference hall. The meeting deliberated on the issue of superannuation age of doctors and the proposed agitation of NIDA in this matter. The Chief Secretary reiterated the appeal made on 10th April 2021 to not go ahead with the proposed agitation in view of the present COVID situation in the state and the threat of second wave. The Chief Secretary informed that the government is actively considering the matter relating to the increase in the superannuation age of the medical doctors and offered to resolve the matter within a period not exceeding 1 year. So this was the assurance that the government gave on the 17th of April 2021, which is expiring on Sunday.
Fixed. It is not fixed by us. So yesterday our Chief Secretary has requesting our association to give us more time. That is 3 months time. So we flatly refuse that. Why? Because since 2016, for 5 years we have waited patiently for the positive response from the government. Even after that, yes, we threatened to go for strike casually last year. So after that, government has given us assurance. So they have asked for 1 year. So we didn't bargain for that. We didn't bargain for 6 months, 3 months, 2 months. We happily accepted what they have requested. Now we don't have time. After the expiry of this deadline, we may not be able to extend anymore. That word was already been responded to the Chief Secretary yesterday.
It will be very difficult for the executive to convince the members in the districts, because after the expiry of this, even before the expiry, like I said in the press statement, there was tremendous pressure to immediately kickstart the second phase when no decision was taken on the 16th of March. But we have been patiently waiting for the deadline, hoping that the government will do something and hoping that the government will honor its word and do something before the deadline. So after the deadline, there is no question of holding back.
So sir, after the 3 days, the total cease work will be indefinite?
It's indefinite.
Yes, it will be indefinite.
Sir, you have mentioned that when you had a meeting with the CM recently, he has talked about some committee report. So, any update on that report?
See, yeah, The committee, like I said, the committees sat yesterday for a consultative meet with all the stakeholders. So we also attended the meeting with the NSF, ENSF, the Nagaland Medical Students Association and CANSSEA. But the meeting was inconclusive. So I do not know what report, whether they'll give a report or they will wait for another meet. So even on the 9th of this month with the Honorable Chief Minister, he was mentioning that the 13th meeting, after the 13th April consultative meet, the committee will submit the report and then the cabinet will take a decision. But yesterday's meeting was inconclusive, so I'm very doubtful whether any report will be submitted.
So as per the announcement given here, 26th May 2016, Honorable PM has mentioned. So has the NIDA brought your issue written to him, or have you given your grievances to him instead of directly asking the state government to look into this and pressurize it again and again, and you make sure that he's hearing your voice since he's the one who brought this?
Yeah, this option is open to us, but we haven't taken that option so far.
No.
And of course, yeah.
Straight away, we cannot write to the Prime Minister.
Because the state...
We cannot go to the governor. If the government of the day, if the government functionary is completely failed, then only we have to knock at the door of governor or Prime Minister.
Secondly,
Now, yeah.
health is a state subject, so it's the prerogative of the state government to take a decision or not. So there is obviously no, like in my statement I said, there is no standing order. There is no binding order in the state from the center. But our only argument is when others can do it, why not us? Why not Nagaland? That's the question.
Besides the NSF being one of the hurdles in the region, has the state government cited any other reasons so far?
They have cited the CANSSEA, Confederation of All Nagaland State Service Employees Association, no? But there we have clearly stated that our demand is based on the Prime Minister's announcement where he announced for medical doctors only. And because of a specific reason, which is shortage of doctors in the country, and we have the statistics to buttress our claim. So if there is any other service organization where Prime Minister announces for them, we will definitely support their demand also.
Nagaland TV, Sop Manulaga Awas. Watch us live on Geo TV and on your television sets as well. For Dimapur viewers, we are on channel number 10 in Global Chapter, and for Kohima and Mokokchung viewers, switch to channel number 138 on Hornbill Digital. For all news and updates, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube and Twitter.